Welcome to Exploring Santa Cruz, a bi-weekly program on KSQD 90.7 FM and 89.5 and 89.7 FM. I'm your host for today, Matilda Rand. My guests are Ginna Holcombe and Barry Bowman of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. Ginna Holcombe joined OLLI in 2014. She became a board member responsible for interest groups in 2018, then the vice president in 2021, and now she is the president in 2023. Barry Bowman started OLLI in 2010 and is a past president. Presently, he is the program director. Welcome, Ginna, and welcome, Barry.
Well, glad to be here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So, Barry, could you let the listeners know how OLLI came about, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute? What is it, and is it only at UCSC?
We've been around about 40 years at this point. It really started with a group of seniors who were taking classes and, in fact, living on the UCSC campus. It was an Elders in Residence program. That group got associated with members from the community, and they also wanted to take classes, listen in on classes at UCSC, and so they started to form a community group to do that. Initially, for example, they'd meet in in the Cowell Coffee Shop. But it grew quite a bit bigger. They renamed themselves Lifelong Learners and continued for 20-plus years. The next really big change came when the Osher Foundation, the Bernard Osher Foundation, came to the campus and suggested that they would donate some money to support one of their groups in Santa Cruz. So the Osher Foundation has currently 125, I believe, lifelong learner groups around the United States, all associated with universities, I believe. The university took it on, but had trouble initially. They tried to run a program that was more centered in Silicon Valley and through the extension service. And so after a while, they approached the community group, the community lifelong learners, and said, would you like to join with us to create an organization that would allow us to accept this money from the Osher Foundation? And that all was negotiated, talked about around the year 2010, 2011, and we officially became the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute in 2011, I believe.
So not that long ago yet.
Not that long ago, 10, 11 years. And it's been a good collaboration. Basically, Osher Foundation gave the university an endowment of $1 million, and that's grown over the years. And so that generates $60,000, $70,000 a year to run the organization. And we also get support from the university that is much appreciated. I should say that of these Osher Foundation groups around the country, Santa Cruz, being Santa Cruz, has to be different. And what's really different about our group, it started as this group of people from the community, and it's continued to be a group from the community with the support of the university and with this financial help from the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how many people are participating?
Well, it's grown to over 600 members. Pre-COVID, there were might have a year or two when we had 700 members, and we're climbing back to 700 members. I started out when I was still teaching at the university, and I always like to tell people that I didn't really get to know very many people outside of work. But as soon as I joined OLLI, I can go to Costco and meet all kinds of people. People I know now.
You're laughing, Ginna. Is that your experience?
Yeah, that's my experience as well. I've only been president since the beginning of this academic year, but it's true. Everybody knows you now. It's lovely. You have automatic new friends.
So what do people in OLLI do, and what do they get out of it?
Well, one of the big benefits of our particular OLLI are interest groups, so-called interest groups. These are small groups. They're led by members. They determine how frequently and for how long they meet. They often meet at a member's home. But the topics have a wide range. There's something for everybody. There are many different discussion groups. For example, book groups that involve fiction, nonfiction, the New Yorker. There are discussion groups about capitalism, sustainability, international affairs, American history and literature.
Could I say that the activities are built around the idea that people want to continue to learn things?
Yeah, that's the basis, really.
Yeah. And like you said, you got to know a lot more people. So would I also be correct if I say people want to do that in company of other people? Social isolation at our age, it's a good remedy for that, right?
Well, you've really said the magic word, social isolation. That is a core goal of this organization. Two things we want to do. We want to provide educational opportunities, continuing education for senior people. Although I should say, Osher is open to everybody. You don't have to be a senior person to join us.
Is there an age level?
The Osher Foundation is really targeted at people over 50, but we're open to everybody.
Okay.
The second idea is that social isolation is a really bad thing within our society. It's a harmful thing in terms of your health and your well-being. And so I think that is what is the really special thing about OLLI. It allows this great combination of educational, intellectually, curiosity-seeking people to get to know and really know well new friends and really interact with them. You make many new friends on a long-term basis. People I've met in OLLI that I know for 12 years now.
Did COVID interfere with your goals of education and social isolation?
Because we were concerned about social isolation, we maintained through COVID. Another unusual thing about our OLLI is that we meet once a month and we have an expert speaker. And we didn't let that go during COVID. We maintained that. It was, of course, by Zoom, but we kept that going, so we had once a month excellent speakers. And the other thing we did is we have a newsletter. It's usually a monthly newsletter during the academic year, but during COVID, we did it every 2 weeks, and we did it throughout the summer. So because we were so determined to stay in touch with our community, and I think that probably served them quite well. Social interaction is a giant goal of ours. We're a very curious bunch. We're a very educated bunch. And it's really fun to meet like-minded people.
So, Jenny, you got to touch on the one most interesting interest group that we have.
That's right. That's right. Our interviewer here is a member of one of our very active groups in women's basketball.
That's right. Yeah. We call ourselves the OLLI Hoops.
And we should say that among the 125 OLLIs around the U.S., they meet for a national conference, and we won an award for women's basketball.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh, it's great. Let me ask a personal question. What inspired you to join OLLI?
In my case, it was ignorance. Yes. I have all sorts of degrees from formal education, but the more I learn, the more I realize I need to learn more. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't understand this big world. So when a friend of mine, actually an ex-president of OLLI, told me about OLLI, I jumped at it. And boy, have I not been disappointed. And when I first joined, I was working full-time, so I could only take advantage of evenings and weekend events. But that enabled me to take Barry's molecular biology class on a Saturday, which I've taken every year since. And it also enabled me to attend a film series. And those two things hooked me. I became an avid fan of OLLI.
Well, it proves you're right now the president.
Right.
I'm their biggest cheerleader.
What about you, Barry?
Well, I spent my career as a professor of molecular biology at UCSC, and I was at a Christmas party at the university that had friends groups, and one of our active members in OLLI, Lois Whittam, she is in charge of our courses, came up to me wagging her finger and said, "We need some science teachers. We need some science teachers." And I've always enjoyed teaching. I thought, well, this would be interesting to talk to a community group about molecular biology. So I started a class that I called Molecular Biology for Seniors. It requires no training in science. And I've been doing it now for, I guess this is going to be the 14th year.
And what's the fun part about it?
I should say that I found, and all of the people who teach for us find, that this is such a delightful group to teach to. They're just so intellectually curious. They're so involved. They really want to know about what you're doing. So, for example, in my area, in the sciences, a common reaction among OLLI people when I talk to them after the class is they will say something like, I didn't get all of it, but I so much appreciate the opportunity to hear this from the people who are actually doing this kind of research. So having people be so interested in what you are doing and kind of appreciative of the work is just very satisfying for all of our teachers.
Let's take a break and tell the listeners that they're listening to Exploring Santa Cruz. My name is Matilda Rand. I'm the host, and I'm here with Ginna Holcombe, the president of OLLI, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, and Barry Bowman, past president and presently working on the monthly meetings. And he has been with OLLI basically since the beginning of when Osher came in then.
Correct, yep.
Since 2010. We will be talking some more because we kind of touched on the three-prong of the interest groups, the meetings, and the courses. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the interest groups. You started to say a little bit and give us some excitement.
You mean besides women's basketball?
Besides women's basketball, yeah, you can't beat that. It's intellectually stimulating because we are physically active, which is interesting. There are some other groups like the walking groups. That's also stimulating intellectually because the conversations that are going on doing that walking. And in the meantime, pumping that blood and getting the air into their brains, and boy, everything becomes clear, right? We solve all the world problems. No, just kidding. Tell us a little bit more about the interest group.
But you did hit the nail on the head. I mean, the magic is that you're socializing while you're learning. But other sports interest groups, we have the walking, we have the women's basketball, but we also have jogging. We have tennis doubles. They're very popular. The walking group has been in existence for more than 20 years, I think. It usually attracts a good 20 people. It goes out every week. We're in the process of forming another mid-county walking group. Yeah, that's one kind of set of activities.
And the other thing what's happening during the walking is they go to different parts of our county. And people are learning.
Yes.
People talk with each other. This person knows this person. I've gone on a couple of them where I really thought, gosh, I didn't know that, first of all, that this park existed.
Right.
And so here I am walking, going uphill, not talking too much, but when you're going downhill, it's a lot easier to do.
Yes.
But anyway, getting my exercise as well as learning a lot about the place where I live.
Yes, exactly. And the person who leads the walking group, Anandi Baganini, scouts each trail beforehand, makes sure it's in good shape, it's not muddy, it's whatever, not overgrown. So it's a very popular group. I would encourage people to try it out. Whether you're an OLLI member or not, just give it a try and you'll get hooked. You'll become an OLLI member.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about other interest groups that are really exciting. And
well, we have a couple of language groups. We have French and Spanish language groups for French and Spanish speakers. One group that is a service, really, is called English in Action, and it's where an OLLI member teams up with a foreign student or postdoc or even visiting instructor who want to improve their English. And the OLLI member teams up with that person, decides how often they want to meet, what they want to do, how long they want to meet. But, of course, it's informative on both ends. I mean, it's mutually beneficial. So that's one of our groups that's more of a service thing. We also have game groups. I run a Chinese Mahjong group, and we have American Mahjong, we have bridge, we have dominoes. So...
And that in itself also brings up a lot of intellectual exchanges. I have never really played mahjong, but some people that I know closely, they swear by it. It's almost like their weekly church. It is
it's true.
important.
It's quite addictive.
Yeah.
Well, we were all beginners. Nobody had ever played before in my group, and so I contacted a friend of mine who's a very experienced player, and she taught us. And there's a lot to learn in Chinese mahjong, and none of us knew each other. And now we meet every week. We are the best of friends. It's the highlight of our weeks. It's nonstop laughter for 2 hours. The mahjong we do play, but it's mostly an exchange of ideas. Yeah, that's what these interest groups are all about. They're small enough to encourage interacting.
Anything that we missed, Barry, to really highlight the importance of interest groups in Santa Cruz?
A couple of others that I would mention actually 3 we should mention. The biggest one of them all is one called Art and Architecture. Yeah. That has a couple hundred people on the mailing list. So they organize excursions to galleries, to studios, etc. A couple others I would mention. I mean, for example, I think the interest group on sustainability is addressing a topic that almost everybody is. There's an interest group called the Concept Exchange Society, which is really just like an old-fashioned intellectual salon, if you will. Yeah. Invites somebody to come and talk to us. The most recent one was a professor of education at UCSC who talked to us about what is the status of schools, what's going right, what's going wrong. Fascinating.
There's a lot of also looking at the community of Santa Cruz and what its structure is, whether it's architecturally or schools. And I assume sustainability is also one.
There has been one called Exploring Santa Cruz that does exactly
like this program.
That. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Barry, you are a program director.
Yes.
How do you create those monthly programs?
So what that means is we have a meeting open to all OLLI members once a month. We meet on campus in a room that'll hold 250 people, and we will often get as many as 200 people. If you come, we serve you a good continental breakfast. There's a schmoozing time, and then we have a speaker. And because I was with the university for over 40 years, I really got to know all of the fascinating people who are up there. Most of our speakers, but not all, come from the university. I'll just give you a few examples. If you want to come to OLLI, and these meetings are open to the general public, you don't have to be a member. Our next speaker is going to be Paul Whitworth, who was the founding director of Shakespeare Santa Cruz and has a long life in the theater. That will be fascinating. We have kind of local stars, people like Gary Griggs, who writes the column for the Sentinel. Shmuel Thaler gave us a great presentation on being a photographer. We got to learn what was in Shmuel's trunk, for example. If you're a photographer and you have to go to a fire or a water rescue, what do you have to carry around? We had Carol Greider, who won the Nobel Prize for discovering the function and biochemistry of telomeres, these little ends of our chromosomes and how they're involved in aging. We've had really great ones. We have fun ones. We try to get a combination of arts, science, social sciences. One of our speakers last year is a music professor, Russell Rodriguez, who told us all about mariachi. I mean, who knew that mariachi players went through a period in the 30s where they were doing renditions of European classical music? We try to cover a lot of things. I think I can say that everybody feels that these speakers have been great, and the audience is so good at coming up with questions and interactions with the speaker. That adds a whole other level to it.
Wow. We talked a little bit about the courses. Could you, Ginna, give us a little bit more information about the courses? What are they? How long do they last? And is it always in person? Is it on Zoom? Is it online? Well, tell us.
Yeah, we offer a nice array of courses. Through COVID, they were all by Zoom. Now, most of them are recorded. They are taught by experts. They last 4 or 5 weeks, usually meet once a week. Not all, but usually meet once a week. They only cost $25, so we have access to these marvelous teachers and courses for a mere $25. We're just finishing up some. One of them that Barry and I both took was taught by Lita Miller, who is an professor emerita from UCSC in music, and it was a wonderful course on Baroque music. I thought I knew about Baroque music. I learned so much. But we ended up with the final class she taught us Baroque court dances from the court of Louis XIV.
My goodness.
So it was a lot of fun. It was a hoot.
Taught you those dances?
Oh, yes.
And you were all dancing?
Yes, we were on the dance
great.
floor making fools of ourselves.
We have it on the Zoom recording.
The courses, you just mentioned Zoom recording. Do they go anywhere? Can people
Yes.
listen or look at them at another point?
That's a good question. The recording's on our website. Our website is full of past courses and courses that are coming up. One of the professors that we're lucky enough to have is Ronnie Grun, who used to run an interest group that was so popular it attracted, close to 200 people. Now she does a podcast every 2 weeks. She is also an professor emerita in, I guess, foreign affairs, and she knows everything. And so she now has a podcast that's open to anybody who would like to listen.
Wow.
One thing I would like to add to the course is during Zoom, one of its advantages, those courses that we could get people from anywhere.
Yeah.
One of our really popular courses is Roger Kanaki is a retired astronomy professor, and he has been giving classes for several years. One of his classes was on the Webb telescope, and it turns out that Roger was good friends of the principal scientist, a guy named John Mather, who won the Nobel Prize in Physics, to come and join us on Zoom.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And for an hour, there was John Mather in my living room.
Yeah.
I could ask him about the Webb telescope. What are you going to do with it, etc. It's really exciting. And we've had several similar things occurring of that, bringing people in from around the country.
And building a different kind of community from local people
Yes.
and from further away.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Now, so you said it's on the website. Do you also have a YouTube channel?
We do. When you open a YouTube channel, you're supposed to have 100 subscribers to maintain it. We now have over 2,300 subscribers, well beyond our membership. And our total views is probably approaching 200,000 views.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we probably should tell the listeners how to stay in contact with Ollie. I see here people can email Ollie, O-L-L-I, at ucsc.edu. And of course, there's a website because you mentioned it, O-L-L-I, ollie.ucsc.edu. We talked a lot. There's not much time left, but people can go to the website and probably see for themselves what we were just talking about. Now, I heard you say something about 125 Ollies around the country. What's your connection with them? How do you stay in contact? Do you do anything?
The way we connect with the other Ollies is really through UCSC, through our partners at UCSC. I think they enable us to have a much larger understanding of the possibilities, really, because I think we can learn from their successes, their failures, and just get really good ideas. It's mostly an idea-sharing thing that we've found. And problem-solving. What worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, could it work in the future? The Ollies are all really different. So there are so many ideas out there that might benefit our particular Ollie.
That's right. So we have like a minute and a half left, and so I want to hear some final thoughts. Barry, you want to share some of your final thoughts to our listeners?
Ollie is just such a great combination of education, a chance to satisfy your intellectual curiosity, and meet some really nice people, really fun, nice people.
I think Ollie is such a valuable community resource for lifelong learning and for social interaction. Mm-hmm. And I just want everyone to know about it. So I would invite people to come and give us a try in January. Our monthly meetings are every third Sunday. They're open to the public. Come, chit-chat, get some munchies, and listen to an expert. In January, as Barry said, it's going to be Paul Whitworth. Mm-hmm. That's guaranteed to be interesting, especially to the local community.
You may need a bigger room.
We may.
Yes.
I want to thank both Ginna Holcombe, President of Osher Lifelong Learning Institute in Santa Cruz, and Barry Bowman, who is the Program Director and past President of OLLI, as we say. My name is Matilda Rand. I was your host. If you're interested in that, you can write us at ksqd.org and ask us a question, or directly to me, mrand.exploringsantacruz@ksqd.org. Thank you, Ginna. This was really delightful. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.